welcome to Simply Sassy's Out of Our League. I'm your host today, I guess. My name is Cesdores. Joining me today are our panel of monkeys. First, uh, funny
Anything's
people.
better than ethnic swears.
I'm not. I'm not gonna get into our panel of friends today. Starting off on the other side of the screen, over there, we got Mr. Al Tribesman. Below
Hello,
him,
Caesar.
hello. Below him, we got Carl.
Yellow.
Next to Carl, we got McKenna.
Hello.
Next to McKenna, we got Phil.
Hey, everybody.
And in the top center, we got our special guest, Miss NerfAlice.
I'm back.
And Alice, I just want to say, you're pretty good.
Well, welcome, Alice. As a guest, you were on Out of Our League before, but that was for the all women's show. And I don't. It's interesting because I feel like I've known you for a while, but we haven't really talked, you and I. And
That's
so
true.
I have a lot of questions that I want to get out there, but for this is one thing's been killing me since like the first moment I met you. Are you British?
Yes. I mean, specifically Welsh, but yes, I'm British. Yes.
Okay, cool. Now that we got that out of the way. No, but the reason you're here is because you recently made a tweet. Phil told me to say this, so if this sounds weird. But like you made a tweet that says, "Invite me on your podcast to talk about how fan art is real art, why Thor: The Dark World isn't that bad if you just watch it from halfway through, and why Charlie Cox's smile breaks my heart." And now I want to start with Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah.
Because recently I was watching like a podcast that was filmed like 2 years after it came out, and people loved Thor: The Dark World at the time.
So I can't remember people's reactions at the time, but I just feel like recently, I don't know, because people might be like re-ranking and going back and watching a lot of stuff. I think now Disney Plus is out, people are revisiting a lot of the movies, and yeah, Dark World is usually like right at the bottom. But there's lots of parts of the movie that are fine and enjoyable, and it's not that bad.
I like that you said like halfway through though.
Yeah, I mean, it's especially like the first. Like my pet peeve is any movie just starting with like introduction and voiceover and setting up the story. Like it's the complete opposite of show don't tell. So I mean, you could just
Millions of years ago, there was a race of people in this one place.
yeah. So I mean, you could just like take that chunk out, and the first half is pretty boring. But then, like, yeah, if you just watch it from halfway through, good movie, fun.
Yeah, Christopher Eccleston. This is perfect.
I just watched it for the first time on Tuesday, I think. And after seeing your tweet, Alice was like, "Okay, the movie doesn't start until right now." I was like, "Oh yeah, it's pretty fine, you know."
It's interesting to me because in the first movie they don't really introduce you to like the Jotunheim very much. Like there's a little bit of an introduction when he goes to like fight them, but it's not like an introduction as to who the race is. And you get a little bit of an introduction of like Asgard and what Asgard has been doing, but they don't go into like Jotunheim. But then they just throw in, you know, some ice people, ice giants here and there. And I feel like they could have done something similar in the second movie where they could have just not given us all the backstory on the king and just let him do his thing. And we could have just had exposition when they were doing their thing instead of taking up so much exposition in the beginning about them. Definitely.
I think with like a lot of movies like that as well, it's like just trust the audience to just get what you're on about as well. Like you're in space already. We don't need to need you to justify why you have these weird elf people here. Like we believe you. We believe it. It's fine. You don't need to justify it.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is a great example of that, where you don't really find out the backstory of I can't remember his character, but Mary Poppins.
Oh, yeah.
Yondu?
Yondu.
Yondu, thank you. You don't figure out like the group that he was a part of and a huge explanation on who they were and why Sylvester Stallone's their leader. They just introduce them. And you kind of are like, oh, they're this really cool group. And then they have this scene at the end where you're like, oh, that was kind of dope. They must be kind of an interesting group to be a part of. Like, yeah, you don't need to explain yourself when you're playing with superheroes in space.
Really interesting choice making it Sylvester Stallone also.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Almost as interesting as making him King Shark.
I haven't seen that yet, so.
No me.
But from Thor the Dark World, I want to go into Charlie Cox because there's been a resurgence of Charlie Cox and Daredevil. Can you explain that to me? I have no idea what's going on.
I like in the last few days.
Yeah.
So I've tried not to look into it, but I think it's Spider-Man related. And I don't want to look into it because I don't want to get my hopes up and then I don't want to have like any spoilers. But I believe that's the link. But I haven't gone down that rabbit hole because I'd rather not know. I don't want to like either get too excited or or no. So
because the leaks are pointing to different characters from other Marvel properties being in the Spider-Man movie.
Mhm.
Because of what happens in Loki, which you had just recently seen also.
Enjoyed that.
If you know anything about the character, he takes place in Hell's Kitchen, which is also kind of Spider-Man's territory. So, yeah, I think if people are making links to it or if there is rumors about it, again, I haven't read any of it either because I'm on the same page as you. No matter what Spider-Man ends up being, I'm going to watch it. So I'd rather stay away from all the things that people are theorizing and throwing rumors out of. But I can see why rumors of him would be cropping up. But also, definitely not going to get my hopes up until we actually see it.
It's weird because the Marvel Netflix stuff has a weird place in the MCU story. Because Kevin Feige didn't want to make those shows. He was kind of like forced into making them. And now some of the directors don't see them as canon. But with the recent events of what's been going on in Loki, they kind of are canon.
They can be, sure.
So who knows, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. I think like if any sort of crossover is fun. And like, I mean, if there is any sort of overlap, I just hope it's done in just like a fun way and like try not to embed it too much in the story because I don't think they'll have enough time to do its service in like its own Spider-Man film. Like I don't think you could bring too much of like the other IPs into it without it seeming shallow. So I kind of want it just to be maybe just like a fun little thing that if you're a fan, you're excited about. But I'm quite happy for Spider-Man just to have his own movie and it not have to rely on, and I'm sure it will be. I don't think it's gonna be too dependent on other things.
I've seen a lot of criticism of the Spider-Man not being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Instead, he's like Avengers level, like big things happening around the world or whatever. And yeah, I don't know. Tom Holland's great, but it's weird that they're putting him in these earth-shattering events in his own movies.
I think it's like just the timing when these Spider-Man's movies came out in the big like MCU timeline in terms of like when we've had the movies.
Yeah.
Where I suppose they've had to feel like they have to be more meaningful to the wider picture because they've come later. Whereas if they were maybe earlier, they could have been a bit more isolated in their own story, maybe just threads leaning in.
If they were earlier, they would have been like an origin story and everybody would have been upset.
Yeah.
It would have been like, oh, we're seeing Uncle Ben die for the fifth time or whatever.
I don't think it helps that the movies are tied to Sony. I think that has kind of put a complication in things, so they feel like they have to utilize Spider-Man in these ways. But I mean, the first movie really was kind of like its own secluded thing. It didn't have a whole lot to do. Other than, hey, we're introducing the character, and then, hey, he's going to be part of Civil War. And of course, the Tony Stark connection. But yeah, I mean, the second movie definitely felt like it was not necessarily setting up a lot for the Marvel universe, but it was our first introduction to the universe after the snap, and everything like with everyone, like I guess after Endgame, I should say.
So it had ramifications, and we still haven't like kind of gone back to that world since,
Yeah,
in a way.
The weird thing for me is as impactful as the Spider-Man stuff was in Avengers, I feel like he should never have been part of the snap, because it's weird with how long and how much time there's been between the movies. There's been 5 years in the Marvel universe, and Tom Holland has aged along with that, and yet he's still going to be playing a high school kid, and so is everyone else. All these other kids from the movies are probably 5-ish years older. So I thought it was a weird decision for all of them to get snapped and still be in high school at this point.
I guess it's because everybody sees Peter Parker as being a high school kid.
I
Like
mean, for like the very smallest representations of him in the newer cartoons, he's in high school. But like in the older cartoons and the older movies and a lot of the comic books,
I refuse to think of those movies.
He's in college, or about to be in college or going to college.
Yeah.
So kind of interesting.
No. But I just realized I did not really introduce Alice. So for the people that don't know who you are, we've just been talking about Marvel stuff. What's your sales pitch? Who are you? Who are you, Alice?
I'm Alice, and I draw stuff on the internet. That's my one-liner. Yeah, I spotted that. That's exciting. Do that, and I noticed on the wall over there as well. Yeah.
I love it so much.
If I had thought about being cool, I would have grabbed my Bulbasaur that you did, because it's in the other room. I just didn't bring it in here. I should have.
Well, I got
it's actually going to go right behind me. There's going to be a poster here, and then a piece of art that Matt did, and then your Bulbasaur is going to be on that side.
Is the poster the World's End?
Yeah, it's the World's End. So I actually have a question to that end, as far as drawing stuff on the internet. How long have you been doing art as a whole? I mean, is it something you've been doing from childhood? Is it something that you got into later in life?
I'd say like I've always been the one who's wanted to draw and paint and all of that type of stuff. And then when I was doing my A levels, I did like quite academic A levels, but I kept on wanting to do art, so I did art A level as well. And then kind of stopped doing stuff when I went to uni, because obviously it takes a lot of time, and then if I wasn't doing uni stuff, I felt guilty. Not that I was the best student really, but I just didn't put time into drawing. And then I got back into it a bit, like when Sherlock was a big thing. Drawing Sherlock fan art was like, and posting it on Tumblr was my main back into drawing. And then I got an iPad, and then digital art came into my life about 3 years ago. So yeah.
So Alice, I am old, so I know what Tumblr is. But for all those kids out there who may not know what Tumblr is, can you tell us what Tumblr is?
Oh goodness me!
Bringing that joke back.
Always.
I mean, it's a corner of the internet which I would say resembles perhaps a Twitter, a Reddit, and Instagram, but maybe is quite inherently nerdier than that, if that's possible. I don't really know how to describe it, but
it thrives on fandom, I would say.
Definitely. Yeah. Tumblr thrives on fandom. That is a great way to put it. That is a perfect explanation.
And you partake in a lot of fandoms. You just mentioned Sherlock. Is there anything else that you are infatuated with as far as fandoms?
Maybe Charlie Cox's tragic smile.
Oh, I just he just breaks my heart. I just want him to be happy, and whatever he's in, I just wanted to be happy. But I've always just like, if I've liked something, I've tended to have loved something, and it changes. Like I had Supernatural phase, Doctor Who phase, like everyone does, and I'd still say I'd like most of the stuff I've always liked, but I mean it changes. Like I had a Stargate SG1 phase.
Yes.
That's awesome.
But
Jason Momoa, just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I hadn't actually watched Atlantis. That's his one?
That's the one he's in.
Yeah. But I'm always just a fan of being a fan of something. Like if you're gonna like it and love it, just throw it up there and just not be apologetic about it. And like that links to like the fan art being real art type of thing. Like if that's what inspires you, draw it. Don't apologize for it. So yeah, like the whole fandom stuff is just, yeah, sure, why not? Why hide away from that title and that umbrella? It's not embarrassing or weird. It's just you love something, you're a fan of it. Just be happy to share that with people.
No Peaky Blinders on that list, Alice?
Had a Peaky Blinders face as well. Yeah.
What about Nirvana the band, the show?
The what?
Nirvana the band, the show.
Don't mind Caesar. He's just.
That's for you, buddy. What do you mean? That's for you.
Alice doesn't know what that is.
The sentiment.
Andy said it. Andy's brought it up a lot.
Fan
Of
art
kind of funny.
is real art.
Yes,
I mean,
I was going to ask about that.
everything
Absolutely.
is art if it's created, right? Like it doesn't matter if it's in a 3D spectrum, a 2D spectrum, a digital spectrum, a sculpting spectrum. Like if you make something,
I'm
that
kind
would
of
be
lost.
art.
What is this argument that? Because I believe fan art is real art. Like I don't like the fact that you have to say it is kind of shocking to me.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
I
why
believe
did you
it's
have
true.
to say that?
But like, what's the argument against it? Like, who's saying that fan art is not art? I don't get that. Like,
Twitter.
Like,
I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah, like I don't think there's like a proper push against it, but I do feel maybe it does come from like the Tumblr days as well. Like you kind of have to like explain why your art has value. Oops, sorry, hitting the microphone. Value when it's just drawings of other people's characters. I think that's where it comes from. Although there's not like people like hating against it, but I'm just like vocally for it.
So it's like the idea that because they're not original, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's not your IP, or
Yeah.
it's like I don't know how to describe it. It's not like traditional. Same like saying like I'm not gonna go down the non-fungible tokens thing. It's the same about like how you might say that digital art doesn't have as much intrinsic value as traditional art because it exists digitally. Although there's not many people like arguing against it, it still feels like you have to.
It's kind of like a
for it.
traditional mentality. It's kind of like it's an old-fashioned way of thinking that people still need to get past, in a sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the mentality that art should be free, and I don't have to pay for it. As an artist, do you come up with that a lot? Do people come up to you like, "Could you just make this for me?"
I think I'm lucky with the circles and like the cool people I know on Twitter. I haven't been like approached to do things on the free, so I'm thankfully so far I haven't been like asked to do things for just like exposure or all that nonsense. But we have a very good friendship bubble on the Twitter.
It's true.
Which is good.
Yeah, 100%.
Filmmaking assets for patch notes, and you refuse to take money from me.
That is kind of true. But he still paid me anyway. So looking at like, it makes me think of fan fiction. Like a lot of people say like, write your own story, don't write fan fiction. And so that's kind of the line of logic that my head went down. It was kind of oh, fan art, don't do fan art because fan art's not going to get you where. Work on original pieces or whatever. But even fan fiction, I feel like, is a way, if you're passionate about it and it helps you find that creative spark, then you use it to hone your craft. And yeah, sure, maybe eventually write your own story, but I don't see anything wrong with A, fan fiction because people enjoy it, and B, honing your craft through fan fiction. Writing in fan fiction helps you refine your ability of writing. Yes, Al.
Phil, wouldn't
Yeah.
spec scripts not exist if it weren't for that? Like, what if someone knows how to write but can't world build, for example? That's an opportunity for them to grab something that's already established and use their talent
Yeah.
on that. So that's like
Absolutely.
a legitimate. So why isn't it the same for like visual art, for example? And we hear things like the Fallout. Wasn't there like a Fallout character or like the Vault Boy or whatever his name is? I'm not very familiar with Fallout. Where like there was this whole thing where the artist who ended up using this character's drawing had to like pay them for using it because he was trying to
I don't
sell it
know.
as a PNG or something. There was a thing in the news like a couple of years ago. So why is it okay to write a spec script for you to get like a writing job on a show, or a show that's not even the show that you spec scripted for, but it's not okay for like visual art to go
Yeah.
that route?
I agree.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's just an interesting thing that there you see pushback for it, and it's getting. I think it's getting better, and people definitely appreciate fan art. But it is an interesting thing.
I definitely
Absolutely.
think I definitely think fan art, and like there are jobs to be made from creating fan art. Like for example, this is gonna be a weird tangent, but stick with me. 50 Shades of Grey is one of the biggest properties in the world, and it started off as like Twilight fan fiction. And also very recently, in the same kind of similar vein, somebody redid the Luke Skywalker face thing in The Mandalorian. Like he touched it up, and he got hired by Lucasfilms.
Yeah.
And like so, I don't know. I get like
Yeah. Deep fake.
yeah he
Whatever
fixed
guy.
a
I
deep
forget his
fake.
name.
Okay,
know.
10 Cloverfield Lane. The guy who did that was a podcaster who reviewed movies and happened to make a Portal short film and just put it up on YouTube, and that's how he ended up getting a job directing a movie. So it
Yeah.
works. It actually works. Like it's been that way for years, but with visual art, it seems like it's
So I guess how
theft or something.
we bring this back to Alice in a way.
Yeah.
Do you have like some sort of goal with like making your art? Like, do you want to like make a comic book? Like, do you want like the cover of a comic book or something? Like, do you have some sort of like big dream one day?
Well, yeah, like a Daredevil comic cover would be the dream. I am definitely not fast enough or a good enough like inker to want to get into like comics. But yeah, like cover art and like variant issue art is would be cool. I wouldn't see it as like a potential career, but it'd be like
A
if I do
goal.
this once, cool.
Like a dream, like a bucket list type thing. Like, I really want to
Yeah.
do this one day.
Yeah.
Okay, that leads
put
me
that
into a
out there.
question. Just for general artists, like one of the things that I like to point out for most people is how long it takes to do a piece. Like for example, that Invincible piece that you did of Mark. How long did that piece take you?
So that probably was on the I don't have my iPad with me. So that was probably on like the shorter amount of time compared to some of my other pieces. But Procreate on iPad does record the time, so I have a much better idea of how long things take me now than I did like a year or so ago. But that was probably about 4 hours just drawing time. That's not like looking up references or just looking at the piece and like moving things around. but like something more paintery, like maybe the Bulbasaur one, I think you're getting maybe about 7 hours drawing time. So like realistically probably about 10. But again, that's like not as much as some other things I've done.
The detail on this is insane.
There
But it
he
does
is.
vary.
I'm so happy now.
I still need to send this out.
LB.
Because I don't know if anybody listening knows this. I had a bit of a snafu when I tried to order the Patreon prints for Bulbasaur. I didn't realize Alice's Patreon worked different than some of the other ones I've subscribed to, where it does it on the 1st of the month. And so I had to reach out to Alice and be like, I wanted the Bulbasaur prints, but I think I messed up. And luckily Alice was very lovely, and she was like, I have extras just in case this happens, and she was able to send me a Bulbasaur print. But
I said
is it okay if I say this?
Yeah.
She accidentally sent me a second one. So I have 2 Bulbasaur prints. One is here and the other one is back there on the door. So
Nice.
I'm gonna be sending
That's
this
awesome.
to someone. I asked Alice, do you want me to return this? And she said, no, send it to somebody. So if anybody doesn't have the idea of like how lovely of a person Alice actually is, there you go. There's a great example of just how awesome she is.
So yeah, there's some amazing artists out there, and I always like, looking at the amazing pieces that they produce, and then looking at how much time, because I feel like a lot of people trying to get into art or feeling like they're not good enough to do art or can't do art are not, they think that a lot of these people make these pieces in like half an hour, 45 minutes, and they're just like, wow, oh my God, mind-blowing piece of art. And because, all we see on the surface is either the finished product or like a sped up video of them doing it in, like a fast speed paint time or whatever. But what they don't realize is that like some of these pieces have like 20 hours of rendering in them to make them look as clean and perfect as they are. And yeah, that's not to say that there aren't some incredible artists out there that can do amazing work in shorter time spans. But I do like to point that out, that like a piece of art, generally speaking, doesn't take someone 45 minutes to do. It takes a lot longer. And like you were saying, when you're looking at comic books, a comic book is a sketch that is then inked by a completely different person, and then is colored by a completely different person, and then is texted, worded, I forget what the term actually is for that. And then the text is placed on the page by a different person.
Inked?
No, the ink is the second phase,
Okay.
generally. And then it's all put together by the publisher, and then of course that goes through an editor. And so what is a 22 page, 27 page, whatever comic book that's put together in a month span is beautiful and amazing and kind of a feat of craziness. But in reality, it's a ton of man hours. It's not like one person produced that monthly comic book in that short time span. So I always like looking at the artist's workflow and seeing how long it takes to do a piece, because I feel like that can help people go, oh, wow, they spent 7 hours on this. Maybe I can do something like that too if I put the time in and start learning.
I think I've read before as well about like comic artists being like terribly underpaid for the amount of time.
Terribly underpaid.
So bad. Like that, as much as I admire all of that type of stuff, I don't think it's a career aspiration.
Yeah.
It's just, as sad as that sounds, but it's
yeah, I just like
a
the
lot
comic
of
book
work.
example because of how much work actually goes into it and how many different people are working on that project. But I can't remember what the last thing I heard was, but I feel like it's, I want to say the higher end of the spectrum is like $2,000 a page. When you combine everything, like all the people getting paid on the project, it's like $2,000 a page, which when you split that across like 8 people, it's not a lot. So yeah. Anyway, thank you for that.
So you said you kind of don't want to aspire to be like a comics artist in a way because they pay so poorly. Do you have like a goal when it comes to your art though? Because or do you just want to keep it like a hobby type of thing? Like do you want to make it a full-time thing or?
It's tricky because I'm like almost like peddling that middle space at the moment because I have like my part-time coffee shop job and
Mhm.
then I have like the Patreon stuff and like commissions every now and again. So I am like balancing that out, and I think I come to the point where I am in myself trying to approach the avenues where I am making money from my art a bit more professionally than just a hobby, because people are giving their money to me.
Yeah, so
It's
there's like a responsibility.
exactly, and I think I've managed to be like as flaky as I am as a person and quite laid back about things. Um, Understanding that if people are paying me for something, I need to they're aware of the timescales and stuff like that, but just be a bit professional about that type of stuff, even though I still consider drawing and art as my hobby. But yeah, it's something I change my mind in constantly, and I'm just kind of happy where I am with that balance at the moment. Like me and my partner moved into a new house like a few months ago, and I got my new job about the same time. So the last few months have been like kind of a challenge to see, okay, does part-time work and a little bit of artwork, like money, balancing that out enough to live with? And like at the moment it's fine. Like I'm not like saving money, and
You're
it's just,
surviving.
but I'm surviving, and like, and at the moment I'm just fine with that. Like, maybe it's bad that I don't have like more ambitions, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's
It's
that.
it's a weird thing if you're still trying to figure stuff out, and I don't know. It's weird because I don't even know long run what I want to do, so I don't really have any long term ambitions or goals either. And it feels like you're kind of still trying to figure out what you're doing now,
Hmm.
in a sense.
Yeah, but I think like now, say compared to maybe about 6 months ago, I'm just happier with that indecisiveness.
Hmm.
Like I'm not having a crisis about my future and what I want to do. I know like at the moment things are working out okay, and I'm kind of happy, and I'm just accepting that. And then maybe that's not like the best thing to do. Maybe I should be making like a 5-year plan and all that type of
Yeah.
stuff. But I'm just kind of happy with how things are in its mediocrity, but I'm fine with that.
Do you think part of that feeling you had a while ago was because of the lockdown and like having to stay at home and kind
Yeah,
of
it
the
was
world
tricky.
feeling isolated?
Yeah, I think a lot of people were just thinking about their future, maybe just because they had more time on their hands. And I think for a lot of like creative people who got put on furlough or couldn't work and just had so much extra time to spend on creative outlets and do that type of thing, maybe like reconsidered what they were prioritizing in life, because that's a little bit about what happened to me. Like from working like full-time stupid hours in a restaurant, I was just furloughed and I just had all this time to create, and then it was started to go back as like, well, I kind of liked spending time drawing. That was fun. So it made me do a lot of reconsidering, and so now I found like a nice balance where it's more part-time drawing, part-time working. But I do feel like there's a lot of creatives who went through a similar path, and
A similar
yeah, I'm
crisis.
yes, a similar crisis.
Yeah.
I'm just yeah,
And it,
I'm just happy where I am now. I've kind of like balanced that out, and I don't know, maybe if it is denial, not looking too much into the future, but I mean at the moment I'm happy, so that will do.
you seem to be having
I-
fun. Oh, go ahead, Al or Phil, whoever.
Ouch.
Wow.
You both spoke at the same time. That's not me, right, McKenna? They both spoke at the same
Hey,
time.
I'm not getting in the middle
No,
of this.
I didn't say a word.
Deep
Go
cut,
ahead.
Caesar. Alice, I was gonna
I'll
say
steal your
it's
tail
not
again.
never again. You're never gonna get a chance to do that ever again. I don't think it's denial, because if you were not getting what you wanted to be getting out of this, you would know. You would not be like kind of satisfied. Believe me. Like you're feeding your creative urges just enough for you to like be happy. You literally said happy like 5 times. So you're like, I'm happy where I am. So I don't think you should be too hard on yourself.
I
You're
also
doing
don't
great.
like the fact that you use the term mediocrity because you're fucking amazing. So stop that.
Yeah, I was just going through your Instagram right now, and mediocrity is not the word that came to mind.
Mhm.
Phenomenal came up a lot.
Speaking of, again, going back to your art, what inspires your range of like color palette and the way that you create shadows in very unique ways? Like I don't want to necessarily say unique, in non-traditional ways. Like you create these beautiful blends of color to create your highlights and shadows, and it goes so well together. Like I'd really love to know how that process developed and how you kind of came up with that process.
I think maybe a little bit is going from just drawing with pencil for so long to then having the iPad and then having all the colors I could possibly have. And then there was a bit of time where I was maybe trying to draw and paint more traditional and real looking things. And then it kind of went just like, I just want to use all the colors and have fun with it. And a lot of it is that. And reading up about how you can use like a lot of blue in the shadows and like art theory stuff that I didn't used to understand, but now I kind of understand. But then just like running with it and being like, I want a bit of pink there, and just putting pink there. So like my recent Loki picture was a fun example because I don't paint traditionally that much anymore. But when I was like using my colored pencils and my watercolors, like all on like doing traditional colors, I realized so much more because of my experience on the iPad and just adding pink when I want to. And yeah, when I want to. When I was doing it traditionally, I was doing the same. I was like, well, I just feel like putting pink by there and just put pink by there and all that type of stuff. So I think it's a mixture of trying to do a bit of learning on color theory and that type of stuff, but then also just having fun with it. And like, if I want to put pink by there, I'm going to put pink by there. If I want to put a yellow triangle, I don't really know how to explain it.
I just want to say that I love that Phil asked, how do you have such a massive range of colors in your palette? When literally the last post I was looking at before he asked that question was from June 23rd, and it says, I have a color palette and I will use it. And it's a red and blue emoji. And it's literally just like Daredevil, Moon Knight, and Spider-Man. And it's just red and blue paintings.
Oh, that's funny.
I will post that in the story. But yeah.
Yeah, a lot of yeah, bright pink and blue were my go-to for a while. I'm feeling yellow a lot at the moment. But yeah, I just like colors, so I think a little bit is just not being scared to use them, just putting them there. Maybe the color doesn't belong there, but I'm gonna put it there and it might look fine.
Do you run into a lot where you'll start a piece and like halfway through it, or like even just in the beginning phases, or even towards the end, you're like, this isn't looking how I want it to look, so you either scrap it or you restart it?
A little bit, but again, with working on the iPad, I would tend to move things around and tweak things and build upon things rather than like start again. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think I might, as an artist, need to learn more how to let go rather than trying to save everything. But yeah, like if things are in the wrong places, the thing with digital art, I can select it and just like move it up and bump it up. So if I've drawn something and realize it's like completely out of proportion, I'm more likely to squiggle everything around on the page, lower the opacity, and then like take 2 and draw over it and try and get it like a bit more accurate and that type of thing. Although that's rather like, don't do as I don't do as I say. I don't think that's what you're meant to do. That's just
No,
what I
actually,
end up doing.
when you watch a lot of digital artists, you see a lot of that where they change proportions and tweak like they like the lines they drew, but they don't necessarily like the exact angle, so they'll cut that corner out, move it up, turn it, and then yeah, they'll put it all together and then do a secondary sketch of what they were drawing with the proportions that they recreated by moving it all around. So no, I think that's absolutely something that you should be taking advantage of with digital art because it allows you to do that. I notice a lot of the times when I'm doing something and I feel like my line is straight, and then I'll take like a tool and I'll swipe down and hold it and make sure it's a straight line, and then I see my line is like curved, and I'm like, huh, okay, didn't even notice that until now. Or like, drawing a perfect circle. I'm not a perfect circle, but like a round object, and then you actually create a round object to see how close you were or something, and you're like, yeah, no, that's a little off. That's a little off.
It's the flipping the canvas thing as well, isn't it? There's
Yeah.
quite a few memes of that. You like you flip the canvas and like one eye's like down there, one eye's
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
One of my favorite
It's-
memes. I don't know if you run into this because you use an iPad, but one of my favorite memes is "Life as an artist is living with 2 fingers constantly on Control Z."
You're
It's
not
like
wrong.
The undo button,
Oh, right.
basically.
I feel like Control Z is like the godsend in my life. There are times when I will be literally like on Twitter or writing an email or even a form on the internet. Like I'm writing into a form and I realize, oh no, I messed up. And then instead of backspacing it all, I'll just hit Control Z until the form is gone or something. And I'm like, that's totally because I've been doing like art and writing for so long that just Control Z is just a natural part of my anatomy at this point.
It's right
But-
there. They're right next to each other. Anyways, sorry. So like you said, you're a digital artist and you're in this community, and so I know I started with a burning question, but I've always had a burning question that I don't really know that many people that can answer it, except for you and a few other artists. You stream your art sometimes. You stream drawing and whatever. You stream making your art, basically, is what I'm trying to get at. Do you find it more enjoyable to stream it or to do it privately? Like, what's your experience with, like, streaming, in a sense?
I think it depends on what stage of the picture it is as well. Because there's been a lot of times I've sat down to stream and then we're starting completely from scratch. The first half an hour is like finding references and trying to put that all together, and then like that's not like the most enjoyable thing to stream or to watch someone stream. It's like, oh, I need a reference to someone's hand doing this, so I'm like spending all the time doing that. But the coloring thing is usually fun on stream, and sometimes making design decisions is fun on stream because you can ask people what they think. And a lot of the time as well, the things I'm drawing on stream are things for stream, so we're just having fun there. Whereas
It's like a communal thing.
yeah, then the more like finished pieces I would probably do off stream or a mixture of both. So there's been plenty where I've worked on it on stream and off stream, and that kind of works as well because like when I have to like sit down and think and focus, I can do that. Whereas if I'm just doing like fun stuff, then I
think
do
I've seen you
coloring and
do-
chat at the same time.
I think I've seen you do a few Patreon prints on stream. Like, I think you did the Hades one on stream, maybe? I don't remember.
Hades we did a bit on stream, yeah. And Bulbasaur was pretty much all on stream,
Mhm,
I'd
I remember
say.
that too.
But like the Halo one was completely off stream. I think, I mean, it depends and it changes a lot. But yeah, it's the sitting down, sitting down to stream and like not having any thought of what I'm gonna draw, deciding what to draw and then be like, all right, now I need to like spend half an hour like looking at references. It's probably not the best advice, I would say.
Do you
But
feel like there's a sense of more pressure though? Because it's your art that you're putting out there.
I think that it's tricky because, I mean, again, I just feel super lucky that the community that's around me is so supportive. But like I think people kind of know what they're expecting when they're in my stream as well, and we're having fun and we're working it out, and I'm never trying to like give advice or be like, this is how you should draw this thing. It is more like sketching and hanging out with people, rather than the art being like a performative piece. Like I'm just drawing and hanging out with people. I describe it more like that.
No, I've been in some of your streams, and I've noticed that sometimes you'll be like, "Oh, that's cool." Like you'll make discoveries like while you're streaming and drawing stuff. I don't know. To me, I would be mortified to do like an art stream where it's just like myself.
I can tell you
Caesar, like...
from. Oh, go ahead, Al.
Oh, go ahead, Phil.
I was just gonna say from my experience of trying to figure out what I want to do streaming, like trying an art stream for the first time was a really hard thing for me because I'm already someone that in my mind takes a while to produce a piece. It's one of the reasons I'm doing this whole art train thing right now, where I'm not trying to go backwards. No matter what I do, I'm trying to move forwards. I'm not gonna worry about like if my lines are off. I'm not gonna worry if my colors are out of place or if there's a spot missing color, like whatever. I'm gonna go from start to finish and just try and feel the piece out. And that's something that I'm trying to do to like help me kind of let go a little bit and stop feeling like I need so much control. Because what I'll end up doing is I'll do like some pen strokes with the pen tool over my sketch, and I'm like, oh no, this line isn't great. And I'll actually go in and I'll move each individual dot on the pen tool until it's right where I want it to be. And I was actually doing that for a piece on stream. And I don't even think we got the outline of the inking process done by the time I was done on stream, because between talking to people and having fun with the chat, I wasn't really concentrating so much on the line work that I was doing. So I ended up taking a really long time to finish that. I think I ended up finishing it off stream.
Can I take us on a little tangent, please, and ask you, Phil, how that is compared to playing video games versus on stream versus off stream?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a much different experience. I find it much easier to play a video game while streaming than I do doing art. Unless whatever I'm doing in the game is taking a lot of concentration, then I kind of lose chat a little bit, which is nice because I don't have like a lot of people in my chat, so it's easy to catch up. But I imagine for people with a much larger following who have a lot more communication going in the chat, it could be almost impossible to keep up. Whereas in an art stream, it's pretty easy to keep up with chat, but you can also get lost in chat as well because there's so much going on. So I'd say it's probably easier to play a game than it is to do art on stream, but it's easier to keep up with chat while doing art, for me at least. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. Thank you.
My favorite thing to do is rank birds, though.
I'm not surprised.
I had a train of thought, but I completely lost it. So, okay. Kind of going back into art then, professionally, in a sense. You have been a community of the Kind of Funny best friends for a while, I'm guessing. How long have you been a KFBF, Alice?
When Kind of Funny Games Daily was announced, I think I'd been watching it for maybe a couple of months before. So maybe a couple of months before that January thing when they do their live stream.
About?
I'm not gonna lie, that's really surprising because like I feel like you've been such a large name in the community since like I started really getting involved. I've been a kind of funny, well, I don't know if I'd call myself a kind of funny best friend up to that point, but I had been listening to like PS I Love You XOXO when that first started. And Podcast Beyond a little bit before that, but I didn't really start interacting with the community before probably KFAF. And yeah, you already you were such a big name even before that. Like I would just see your name pop up on Twitter all the time. So it actually surprises me that a few months before Games Daily is when you really started to watch the content.
Yeah, it's kind of like a running joke between like me and the boyfriend that he will like show me something or introduce me to something, then a couple of months later, like I'm super
You're a bigger
into it.
fan.
So that's kind of what happened. Like he's been following like Kind of Funny from like way back when, then like tried to like introduce me to him. I was like, yeah, this is okay. Then a few months later, like I'm making like fan art, like tweeting them and stuff. There's similar things have happened. Like,
Are you ever like the
Critical
guys know who
Role.
I am?
Yeah. Like he introduced me to Critical Role, and I try to think of other examples. I can't really, but yeah, like compared to a lot of people, I'm probably later-ish into the whole Kind of Funny sphere.
Mhm.
But I mean, in my experience, it's been super welcoming and doesn't feel very gatekeepery in terms of like if you're a newbie or have been there since before way back when. I mean, there's so many inside jokes and spiel with the whole Kind of Funny stuff. I think even if you're there from the beginning, you don't know
All of it?
whatever
No, it's
happens
impossible to
some
know
the
all of
times
it.
anyway.
The
Like
guys there don't even know all the jokes. I think there was a
Right.
recent thing where Roger didn't know that Kevin has a turtle.
Oh,
Like,
that's funny. Well, technically, it's like his sisters, right?
I don't know.
It's yeah.
I have no
Um,
idea.
That's awesome, though. Yeah, because 100%, I feel like this community is so crazy, welcoming, and awesome. Um, yeah, that's really cool.
So you have been doing like art of Kind of Funny for a while, and obviously they knew who you are. Was the Johnny Ace print the first one you did for them? Like
so yes.
the Ace's Wild print, was this the first thing that they commissioned from you?
Yeah, that's my first like a fish commission. Like the shirtless Spider-Man stuff kind of blew up, and there were t-shirts circulated just within like their circle and stuff, but that wasn't like
Didn't they
released.
send one to the guy from Into the Spider-Verse? I forget his name.
Yeah. They did.
It's crazy to see.
Now,
But yeah,
sorry.
when I got asked to do that, that was like a proper like bucket list thing as well, like to be like commissioned by Kind of Funny to do a piece. Like I was like for so long after. Like
I'm still waiting.
it'll happen. It'll
They
happen.
paid you.
Put it out.
Yeah,
Hey,
you got it. You
I
kind of
didn't-
happened.
I didn't make it for them, though. I made it for
It's
you.
right here. I have
it.
yours right here, Phil.
I made it for you, and they decided to buy it. I'm waiting for that moment where they actually commission me to do something.
Mhm.
And that's not
Still coming.
Snowbike Mike anyway.
There's a really cool commission coming in September. I haven't seen it, but there's a cool artist behind it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Now, did they let you choose what you wanted to do for that, or did they have an idea what they wanted you to do for that platinum reward?
Joey mentioned that the like football stuff was kicking off. If that's the direction I wanted to go. But I was like free to do whatever I wanted anyway. But I liked having something to focus on, so I just like ran with the Johnny Ace thing.
I love the throne and the pose, and obviously the color palette is fantastic.
Yeah, it's
but like,
beautiful.
there's just so much style and like
I love
energy
the smileys on the
emanating, from
the
that
little
piece.
smileys here. You can't really see them, but yeah.
And they're like Diet
cool.
Coke cans, and like the bottom are like tennis balls, and there's lots of things. I was like, I don't really know if you could tell what they are, but I put them in anyway.
Those horseshoes?
Yeah, no, it's great.
Oh,
No,
it says
that was
ace,
fun.
ace, 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 ace on the legs.
Yeah, I mean, that took a very long time. But again, because I put the pressure on myself, like that was probably 20 hours of drawing time.
Oh wow.
So that was a commitment.
I mean, you can definitely tell it's such a fantastic piece, and there's so many little details in it. Like, I absolutely love that piece.
Nothing mediocre about it whatsoever.
That is 100% fact. No lies detected there.
Trying to see if there's anything else. Why did you make him so tall? Though is my question. That's kind of like
It's a perspective thing. He's actually really short. If you tilt the camera, the angle of the camera upwards, you would see that he's actually really short. It's just an angle and
just a really big
perception
chair
thing.
or like really small chair.
It's the focal length. That's the word. That's the word I was looking for. It's the focal length of the camera, creating a different angle and perspective.
Yeah, that must have been really cool to get that kind of level of recognition. And you were kind of like one of the first ones to like actually get commissioned by them. And I don't. To me, that just made sense because you've always been, like Phil said, you've always been such a big voice in the community when it came to the art.
It's fun. It's a cool thing they're doing as well, is getting like artists to do print of the week, print of the month type of thing, and getting a range of people to do it as well. I think it's cool.
That couldn't have been a thing without maybe you will never know if what's happening now with the artist of one thing could have happened if it weren't for you.
Probably. I'm not gonna take any influence. But I'm sure I've tweeted about it before. I at least talked about it before. How like strange it is that kind of funny inspires so much fan art specifically. Like they inspire so much content creation and creativity in lots of different ways. But the actual art side is a little bit surprising considering like what they do. And I love it. And I love how supportive all the other artists are of each other in the community as well, and that's all amazing. But yeah, I'm like just constantly always like a little bit surprised by how much like fan art comes from their nonsense.
when you look at it and you look at some of these other communities like Rooster Teeth, like Funhouse, like all these people, there's fan art here and there, but like it's not nearly to the same level as Kind of Funny. I think the only thing I can think of off the top of my head that produces as much fan art as this would be a YouTuber named Maximilian who does Yo video games and Critical Role. Those are the two that come to my mind that produce maybe similar levels of fan art as Kind of Funny. It's insane.
I think fandom is different when you have an outside perspective of it, because I have seen a lot of Rooster Teeth, Achievement Hunter, Funhouse stuff growing up. Like not just fan arts, but like fan edits and fan Minecraft builds and XYZ or whatever.
Yeah, no, definitely stuff within creative spaces. Just like there's Kind of Funny shirts in Animal Crossing, you'll definitely see Funhouse shirts in Animal Crossing or stuff like that. But
speaking of Kind of Funny shirts, does anybody remember the horse wrestling shirt that somebody made? Like I had no reference for that joke. I don't think anybody ever explained that to me, and I just saw,
it was on the morning show, like back during the morning show days.
Horse wrestling league or something.
Yeah,
it was like a map or something. And
yeah, it was like the map of the United States, and it was like two horses fighting. It was like a
because
horse
Nick one day said like,
McKenna's so lost.
Horse wrestling is a thing. Oh my god, that's such a deep cut, Caesar. That's so...
I always think about that because nobody ever really like explained it to me.
And then one origin story. And
then one day I was just watching like the morning show, and then the description was like, "These are all the funds from the horse wrestling shirt." It was just like, what?
What?
I must have missed that.
That's exactly why Alice is so surprised that there's a lot of fan art happening here, because, like you said, it's for like bullshit like horse wrestling.
Yep.
Oh my
The
god.
Horse Wrestling Federation it was, I think.
Mm.
Something like that, yeah. Before we move on, McKenna, Carl, do you guys have any questions?
Got my patented sticky note of questions.
Yes.
Even though some have, of course, been answered already. Did you have any formal training? Oh, well, I guess you touched on this a little bit already from like school, but like outside of school, did you have any like formal art training, or is like most of like it self-taught?
I'd say like it's especially like the digital side self-taught. Like when I got my iPad and it's like, well, I've been told to get Procreate. I got my iPad, I got my pencil. I'm just gonna do it. And then I try to watch YouTube videos and I try to do a bit of learning, although I'm not the best, not the best student. I just like doing it. I don't really like learning it. But yeah, the last like sort of education in art would have been my A levels. So what's that? My A levels like 16, 17, 18. So like, you have
A-levels
different
would
school
be
systems.
Like a senior year. Senior year is what you're looking for.
But all the digital stuff is making it up as I go along, but like looking at things, but just having fun with it.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then do you have a specific art piece that's your favorite, or like art pieces if you can just choose one, or are they all loved equally?
Older babies.
I super love my Last of Us Ellie picture I
That was
did
great.
ages ago, because I think that sort of like not bridged the gap, that's the wrong way to say, maybe. When I was painting, but I was happy to leave it a little bit sketchy and a little bit messy, and I wasn't trying to fully render it, and I liked how it was going. So that is probably going to be like one of my favorites. Because of that moment, I was like, oh, I like this. And I mean, there's a few that are special to me because of what happens around them, rather than like my happiness for the piece itself, if that makes sense. But like, I think my most recent thing that I'm super happy with is my Loki one, because it was like on paper and I got the paints out, I got the colored pencils out. So yeah, my most recent one that I'm super happy and proud of is probably the Loki one.
Oh, that's great.
Does everyone have like a favorite Alice piece? Can you pick one off the top of your head?
The one that comes to mind is Greg and BD1.
Oh yeah.
That's one of the first ones that like kind of brought you to my attention in a way. And it's just so good. It's just so beautifully well done. It captures Greg's goofy smile really well. And I just thought it was really well done. I really love that piece.
I really like the Halo Infinite piece. I've never played a Halo game. I just love how it looks. Like that.
The aesthetic
I
of
love
Halo.
the colors. I just love everything about it. It's just super cool to me.
I think mine is the Black Cat Spider-Man piece.
Oh wait.
I really enjoy the Black Cat Spider-Man piece. That one is just one of my favorites. It's just from the colors and just the pose and everything in that one. The detail is just really great. I really love the Miles Morales with Spider-Cat. I love the fact that Insomniac retweeted that, and that one got so much love. And to not pick a Spider-Man piece, obviously the Bulbasaur one, but I talked about that earlier. That goes beyond just your art, though. That just goes for my love of the character as well.
Bulba.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, I just realized something. I thought this was just like you kind of like sketched on top of a picture. Did you paint the Splash Sisters? Like in that piece, Alice? Like did you like actually like draw the Splash Sisters? Like,
in the Snowbike Mike one.
Yeah. Did you actually draw them? That's awesome. I never noticed that. I always thought it was like an actual picture of them. I
You
never
can see
really
I
looked at
used to do
close.
more like realistic, and now I just got a bit more paintery. But yeah.
I never noticed that. I always thought it was like an actual picture of the Splash Sisters of Mike's dogs. Sorry, I just had to bring that up.
Al,
That,
I
you gotta
really
interrupt
love
me,
the
I'm so
Halo
sorry.
one. The Halo Infinite one is amazing. I really love it. I'm a huge old school Halo fan. But also the Greg's Joker was amazing. I
Oh
love
yes.
that. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, that was one of the first like on stream things I did as well. So that has happy memories for me.
Nice.
That's awesome. Carl, are you still
No.
awake?
Yeah.
We just wanted to make sure you were okay down in that corner.
Yep.
it's pretty late down in New Zealand.
Pretty early.
Well,
Pretty early.
Pretty early,
Oh,
actually.
Oh, sorry.
We've got a delightful lightning storm going on at the moment, which is always fun.
Oh no.
Oh.
It's all good.
You have any questions for Alice, Carl?
Yeah. So like, just first of all, just like, your art is absolutely amazing. The only thing I can draw is conclusions. So I'm like, I'm just like in awe of your art, especially of your Henry Cavill Superman. That's like so cool with all the coloring and everything. Yeah, so just a question sort of about your gaming and stuff. What's your sort of favorite genre? And do you have any favorite games and that sort of thing?
So like I'm not a super gamer. Like the main games I play are like Overwatch and Civilization.
Which one?
and like and now like Animal Crossing. So those are all like different genres as it is.
Which Civ?
Yeah, which...
Civ 6.
Nice.
But like I don't like reading anything much. Like because like I'm dyslexic, so just reading lots of stuff I don't like, even though I'm trying to play The Witcher 3. And it's not too much reading in that, but maybe a little bit too much reading.
I just don't like reading because I'm lazy. That's just
but yeah, maybe a bit of everything. Like I really enjoyed the Spider-Man games. Like I synced like a good few hours into Patapon before trying to like get good at rhythm games. So I suppose I don't really have a genre.
Which is interesting because you do have a lot of art from games, such as like Halo and The Witcher, Spider-Man, Last of Us, Red Dead Redemption. Do you do that? Or Hades also. Do you do that because like the community wants you to do that? Do you love the art style of these games? Like what if you don't play these games, what draws you to make art based off of them?
So like the Hades one, I got not peer pressured. So I say peer pressured be too much.
Was it Reaper?
I mean, he probably was in the chat if I'm honest.
Let me get a beer back.
To do that one, but I think like I play enough of a game to know I like it. So like I have played the Last of Us games, and got taken back. Like I hadn't actually played Ghost of Tsushima, but I got really excited about the prospects of it, so drew it. But then never actually played the game. But like most games, I've like played enough to enjoy or watched other people play. But it's more like when I say like I'm not a gamer, it's like if on my off time I'm not really likely to sit down and play a game. I'm more likely to, I don't know, listen to an audiobook or listen to Critical Role and stuff like that. But maybe that's just me like downplaying myself and like.
So, Reaper, we're currently recording a podcast that's Simply Sassy Out of Our League with NerfAlice.
Okay.
She said that you were in the chat and she felt peer pressure to draw a Hades piece. Did you pressure Alice into doing a Hades piece?
No,
Are you lying to me right now?
I'm not.
Why are you lying to me?
I'm not lying. The person that suggested it was Trix, not me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh.
But did you keep pushing or were you just there?
I was just there. I was like, hey, Katie's cool. You should, like,
Okay.
suggest it. I wasn't like, hey, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Because I thought it might have been you, but clearly I was wrong. So I'm the idiot. There we go.
All right, cool.
All right. Have fun in your shower. Bye.
So
That was
are,
amazing, Steve.
are we now gonna call Trix up and ask her about this?
Yeah, might as well.
I
Let's
don't have
like-
her
Discord
number.
call her.
It's like a new segment, isn't it? Like on the spot with Caesar, right?
Da, 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 da.
On the spot in the tower.
I think we should just go into community questions.
Probably a good idea.
Who wants to go first? Carl, you got one, I think, right?
Yeah, sure thing. So this is from Hoodie, aka at Penny Marvels. He just asks, "How are you?"
I'm good. Thanks, Hoodie. Hope you're good. I'm gonna reach it because I'm very close. I got a really cool commission done by a Hoodie for like a little Daredevil picture, so I'm just gonna lean down and grab it.
Oh, that's
Look
cool.
at that.
Ev-
Yeah.
Eventually, I
Rad.
want to like commission all the artists I know to draw a Daredevil picture. Eventually, that's the end goal. But yeah,
Oh
If
my
you
That's
commission
awesome.
me, I will do my best to draw Daredevil with my eyes closed. I'll Try to keep it true to.
because you can't
You'll
see.
feel the vibrations of the page with
Yeah.
your pencil
Is that not accurate?
to try and feel the energy
Yeah.
of
I'll also make it cell
Murdoch.
shaded. I'll also make it cell shaded just for the hell of it. Do you know about this, Alice? There's a Daredevil skin in Fortnite, and it's the only Marvel skin that has a cell shaded option.
Oh, okay. I knew there was a Daredevil skin in Fortnite. Didn't know about the cell shading
It's a
thing.
really weird thing. It's a really interesting look. Sorry, didn't mean to get sidetracked. Anybody else got a community question?
Yes.
I was gonna say, let's go. Wait, McKenna, did you fill out your post-it note? All your questions on your post-it note?
There's like 2 more questions.
Go
but-
for it.
Oh,
Just do all of them.
okay.
Do that and the community questions. Go.
Oh gosh.
I'll be
okay.
fast.
What is the coolest opportunity that you've gotten from? Well, I would say from any, like, could be from your art or from anything. I guess.
Anything, yeah.
Peaky Blinders picture being really, really big on the London Underground.
Oh, what? Oh, that's
Yes,
so cool.
that's why I brought up the Peaky Blinder thing. Do you guys
That's
not know
so
that?
cool.
What's Peaky
No.
Blinders?
That's awesome.
Awesome.
I just came across a Peaky Blinders piece that you did, and I think it looks amazing on your Instagram.
Oh my
But I didn't know that there was like a giant what now?
It was in
Um,
the subway on the walls, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to hear more. Like, how did that go? That's how did that
Oh.
happen?
Is there like an official shop that they're selling it in?
Yeah, I get royalties.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just found it right now. It's like Peaky Blinders NerfAlice
That's
print,
it.
and it's like,
Oh my god.
wait. So what was that like? What was that like? Tell us.
Like I just how do you even? It was a person who I used to go to uni with had seen that I'd drawn some Peaky Blinders fan art before, told me that there's this competition to draw like promo campaign for series. I think it was series 5. So I drew that Polly picture. It was one of the selected creators. So it was on like bus stops and billboards and stuff like that. And people had seen it on the London Underground and had tagged me in it. So I knew what stations there were. So then me and my sister went on the train to London for the
Awesome.
day to go to all the stations and take photos of my
Yeah.
picture on the London Underground.
Yeah, I see it right here
just found
in a
something.
poster on the street where it's got the BBC Peaky Blinders, and then it's the picture. That's really cool.
I just found an article from the BBC that says Peaky Blinders fan art commission to promote 5th series, and yeah, there's a bunch of really cool stuff, and yours is there.
Your
as well.
Twitter banner at one
Awesome.
point was a picture of you in front of it, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a while ago.
How
But
did
yeah, it
I
was.
miss this?
That's why I set it up. I asked that question, kind of. I was trying to lead into it, but no, it's fine.
Al, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you bring it up? Like you've been
Wow, how could you just keep this information to yourself the entire
So
show?
selfish. I'm just kidding. Al, I love you, buddy.
This is why I love you, Caesar.
Seriously,
But yeah,
though,
it was a
that's really
picture
cool.
of you standing right in front of it, which was amazing, just like epic. And I remember an old friend of mine, like we were watching your stream together, and that person got Procreate after me telling them the Peaky Blinders story, and we were both sitting down watching your stream. So you made someone who's not even a KFBF, you inspired them enough to go pay money for software to keep fueling that creativity. So there's that, in case you
That's
didn't know.
awesome.
Also, if you have an
Hashtag Fanart.
iPad, get Procreate. It's like a tenner. Do it.
Definitely worth it. It's one of the best investments I've made on the iPad for sure. Although I'm still learning stuff all the time. I just found out there were mask layers and clipping masks recently, and I'm like, oh, this changes everything.
Always use your
So.
masks. Anyways,
True.
any other questions we you had?
I have one more on the sticky note. I'm just curious, like, what outside of your art, like, what other hobbies do you participate in? I worded that weird. What other hobbies do you have?
Aside from watching Charlie Cox.
Yeah.
Just watching him. I'd say I read a lot, although I haven't read much recently. Have a weekly D&D sesh, so that's fun. I really like walking.
Oh my gosh. I follow you on Instagram, and I think it was before you moved when you would post on your stories like your walks, and there were like I think animals
It's
somewhere
urban
along
hiking.
the way.
Little pigs.
Yeah, yes, they were the highlight every
Price of the
time.
pigs.
Oh my gosh.
But
Wait,
yeah,
did you go on walks or did you go on urban hikes?
I mean, it just not urban hikes TM. But yeah,
Okay.
like literally, like one of my favorite things to do is have a longish walk and listen to Critical Role at the same time. That makes me happy.
I guess one more question along these lines. Are you going to continue to pursue embroidery?
I haven't done embroidery for a long time,
Because
and I also
there's this Sonic
yeah,
piece on your Instagram. I don't know if
my
McKenna could put up a
Sonic
better
hat.
picture of it.
Again,
are you
it just takes a lot of time. I think if I had like all the time in the world and no distractions, I'd love to do more embroidery just for fun though. Nothing
for
too
yourself.
yeah, just like little pieces on like hats and stuff. Sure.
All right.
I have a question in relation to pigs. Where does Nerf Pig come from?
Oh, okay. Oh, because I'm Nerf Pig on Discord. Basically, when I set up my Overwatch account, I didn't want to have my name Alice in there, so I chose Academic Pig. So I couldn't be identified as a girl. And then when I had Discord, I was like, well, I kind of want people to know who I am if I'm playing Overwatch with them, but then also know who I am if they're friends from Twitter. So I kind of spiced them together.
Okay, new question. Why Academic Pig?
She's
Kind
smart,
of
Phil.
neutrality, sure,
This is a
but
very smart pig.
Pigs are very smart creatures. I don't know if you know this. They're smarter than dogs.
I like pigs, and it was one of those things like adjective noun type of generators, and I just went through them and was like, yeah, Academic Pig is fun.
it sounds great. Yeah, it definitely flows well. But all right.
I got a community question from A1 Mr. Vitz Patel. He says, hi, first of all, thank you for being one of my favorite people on the planet. I treasure our friendship so much. My question would be, which event of the Olympic Games do you think you'd be best at?
Probably none of them. Going for a long walk at the Olympic event.
Well, power walking is an Olympic event.
Oh yeah, I saw that. maybe the synchronized swimming thing, because I can hold my breath for a bit and I like being in the water.
Love it.
There we go.
And McKenna, you didn't actually ask your community question. You were just asking your post-it note questions.
Mhm.
Did you want to
Yes.
throw that out there?
No, it's fine.
I have 2 questions from Erica at Ambelina. She asks, or she says, 2 questions for one of my favorite people. First one being, what would you like to make fan art for that you haven't yet?
Probably more stories and books, because I did like a Shallan picture from Stormlight, and I've done a bit of stuff from like Name of the Wind, but maybe more book story orientated stuff. Like I've half-heartedly started Mistborn fan art before, but never really got very far.
I
Book-
just finished those books. That's why, because I was gonna ask, like, have you read Mistborn? I just finished. Oh, they're so good. Oh my god, sorry. Keep going.
Book fan art is interesting because it requires a lot on your part, on your creative side of what you think the character looks like.
Mhm.
And I always find that really interesting of kind of concepting and coming up with that idea based on the description in a book.
Yeah.
Or even still, like there are some books where they don't necessarily describe exactly what a character looks like, but based on, you know, the information that you have within the story, you can kind of create an image for yourself of what you think they look like. And it's always interesting to see those interpretations. I think one of my favorites kind of articles, like Huffington Post style articles, is when they do movie versus book comparisons and they show you like an artist's rendering of what the character looks like based on the description, and then what they looked like in the show or something like that. Those are always fun.
And it's like it goes 2 ways. Like you have the freedom to kind of make them look however you want, so in that way it's like less restrictive, but then you also like might feel a bit judged by how you've interpreted the description compared to someone else. Like I feel like you
Sure.
may have missed a detail. Oh, kitty cat. But yeah, maybe some like more book type fan art stuff, I think.
If I were to make a suggestion, the book I'm trying to finish right now is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I don't know what you would do with that, but there you go.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited if you do Mistborn fan art now. Oh my gosh, it's like it's all I've been thinking about. Anyway, sorry. The other question Erica asks is, it's been just over a year since the Carl Collective has formed. What's it like being a major part of that community?
I think I get way more credit than I deserve for the community.
For a while though, people had to go to you to get a Carl to be a part of the collective though, like to be
Yeah,
like
I
a
think
Mark of Carl type of thing.
I think just out of necessity, because I had the layers to make Carls in different colors. I think I got to put a lot of the love and the emphasis back on people who are much better at organizing and like making actual things happen within the community, like Avenged and Tiff and Read On and stuff.
Wait, I know I've asked you this before, or I've asked somebody about this. It must have been you. So Carl is like a really funny looking character that has a really interesting backstory. Could you explain like how the look of Carl kind of came to be?
So it was the Joker picture when we were trying to draw Greg as shirtless Joker, and then I wanted to do like spray paint nonsense in the background. So I was like, okay, I'll do the kind of funny logo, free ball in there. I don't need to look it up. I know what it looks like. No, I don't know what it looks like. So I was like, yeah, that can go. But then a Reese boy was someone who grew attached to him straight away. I was like, well, I'll save that layer. We'll go back and address this really bad smiley face at some point. Yeah, and that kind of became, I don't really know why we called him Carl, but that's what he became. And then it kind of grew from there, like small, then a bit bigger. I think Erica was like one of the first people who had like a Carl, so it was basically that smiley face, but in a different color scheme. And like I think it was my first emote I did as well, perhaps.
I love that you do seasonal Carls also.
Yeah, we have done seasonal Carls. It's just fun, and I mean, it's just something nice about feeling part of a group that you know is supported and kind and lovely and filled with lovely people. And if nothing else, Carl represents your association with that group of cool people, then I mean that's enough. That's fun. But I can't take too much responsibility for how cool everyone else is. They're just really cool people.
I've been trying to figure out like a way to incorporate a Carl emote and like approach you about it, but I haven't figured out exactly what I want to do.
Yeah.
I was thinking about maybe like a Bulbasaur with Carl as like the flower on the back. But we'll talk about that sometime once I kind of figure out the idea. But I definitely have to have a Carl in my life somewhere on the emotes.
Carl's
I have a community question as well. It's from Amanda, aka Treasure Trunk Art. Alice, what is something you learned in the last year? She says.
And my mind went straight away to like really boring things, like how to set reoccurring payments in my bank account because I'm paying rent.
Yeah, that's a great thing to learn.
It's something.
That's a great thing to learn.
Yep.
Also dangerous.
Maybe just like as a general thing, and maybe reoccurring some of the theme of our chat today is perhaps just learning to be happy with the now and not worrying too much about everything else. I think that has been a journey this past year, and yeah, say that. That's a good one.
I love that.
Rather than banking.
Hey, she didn't ask what's the biggest lesson you learned this year. She just said, what is something you learned this year? Yeah,
that's right.
It still works.
Carl, what about your community question?
Oh, he already asked it.
Oh, did he?
His was the first one we asked.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
perfect.
Wow, you're paying
Did I
attention,
only give you one? I gave somebody. I feel. Oh, never mind. It was an accident. I sent you two, didn't I?
Yeah.
Got it. My bad.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any final thoughts? Anything you want to talk about, Alice, specifically?
I mean, I have a community question, but
oh, do you? Well, why are you asking if Carl asked his then? You could have just asked yours.
I just want to make sure that everyone was done, you know? This is from Yosh, or at some other Josh. And he says, this is a generic question. We've already kind of gone over this, but he says, Alice, can you defend your statement that Thor the Dark World isn't that bad? ? Which we've kind of gone over, but I wanted to make sure I shouted that out for him. His actual question is, where do you find creative inspiration? What keeps your motivation, your drive for creating art? What are the little things that you look at in life that go, that's cool, I want to make art of that?
I think it just comes to whatever just like makes me excited, and then that gives me the little spurt to do the art. Like the Halo Infinite thing, I think they just shown like, I don't know if they just shown like a new trailer or gameplay, or they said when they were going to do the limited release thing. I was like, ooh, Halo's in my head, I want to draw it now. It's just maybe
wasn't
stuff
it around
like that.
E3? Wasn't it around
It could have been E3. I can't remember now, but I just remember like seeing it on the screen, like, right, I'm drawing it now, and just sat down and started drawing it. So it could literally be like that, just like at that moment, that's exciting me. I'm sitting and doing it now. But yeah, going back maybe to the fan art thing, just whatever I like at the moment, I'm gonna draw, and don't really set limitations or expectations on that. Just do it.
And kind of coming from that question, when it comes to like artist block. I know there are times when I will put pen to a page or digital pen to a tablet, and like nothing I'm sketching feels good. Like it's not even that it looks good or bad or whatever, it just doesn't feel right. And so I'll set it down and I'll come back to it later or something. Or even when you're in the middle of the piece and you're just maybe not happy with it's going where it's going, like how do you deal with burnout? How do you deal with like the blocks like that crop up as you're working on pieces or trying to do art?
I think because most of the stuff I post is fan art dictated by my schedule and when I want to work on it, I don't worry about it too much. Like if I start doing something and I'm not feeling it, I'll leave it. Like the Spider-Man and Black Cat thing, I had started that basically a year or so ago when that DLC first came out, and then kind of left it and then came back to it ages later because I didn't have that pressure. When it's more commission based, this is me saying it maybe more than I do it, but I try to just draw anyway. Like I'm going to spend a bit of the time, and then if I get some of it done, it's better than getting none of it done. And realizing, well, then maybe when I do the inking part, I'll have a bit more energy and that will bring it back to life. Or when I get to do the coloring part, that will bring it back to life. But still just spending a bit of time powering through, just knowing doing something is better than doing nothing. But that just mainly applies to commissions. If it's just like, if you're drawing for your own love and entertainment and you're not feeling it, I'm all for just, well, leave it for 2 months and come back to it. Like, do not like try not to put the pressure on yourself to create something to post on social media or to like share out into the world. Like if it's just something like that, then just don't put the pressure on yourself and just come back to it when you're feeling like it.
That's awesome. And then the last community statement, it's very strange. It uses a picture that says, "Yeah, I have a lot of questions." But then it's Chef Boy RT or at Travis War on Twitter and just says, "No question, just heart." So I'm very confused. I'm very confused by that tweet, but I had to throw it out there.
Well, I do have a question.
I love Alice's reaction to that as you were describing it. That's gold.
It was a little bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah, you were like, what is this? What do I do with this?
People that listen to this know that we read everything in the community section out, so I don't know.
They're just
With that,
abusing us at this point.
I think we should move on to one of the more common questions that we ask every guest. Ben normally asks this question, but well, he hasn't been normally asking it recently. But basically has a question that he wants to ask every guest, which is like, you know who Greg Miller is. Greg Miller is everywhere and nowhere at the same time somehow. Like 1 minute he'll be at his house, the next minute he'll be in Los Angeles doing E3, the next minute he's taking a hike, trying to avoid ticks. The next minute he's on stream crying for 20 minutes. But he's still like on Reddit, on Twitter, on Instagram, interacting with everybody's posts. And so Ben's question to everybody, which I'm asking you now, what is Greg Miller? What do you think Greg Miller is? Is he a clone?
Why is Greg Miller?
Like, do you
Where
think,
is
like,
Greg
what do you
Miller?
think what's up with Greg Miller? What do you think?
Who's
What are your
Gamora?
thoughts? Why is Gamora?
Gamora.
What was the question? Who, what, why, who?
What is Greg Miller basically? Like
He
how
usually
How is
prefaces
he
it
able to do
with
all the
like,
things that he
yeah, how
does?
is he able to do all the things
yeah.
that a human wouldn't be able to?
I think he's just driven by passion and authenticity. Like I think I don't think he would interact with all the people and do all the stuff he does without a genuine passion on it sounds soppy. Like a genuine passion on his inside, and that's what he loves to do. And I think you can tell by how much again creativity and like how much he inspires other people to create things, content, pictures, art, video games, whatever, I think that trickles down from his like genuine passion for whatever he's doing. And I think that's it. I think he could be everywhere because that's what he wants to be doing, and he likes the interaction. He likes being real and making a difference, and urban hiking.
So
beautiful.
what you're
Oh.
saying is he doesn't have a link to the Time Variance Authority and a bunch of variants of himself that travel through space and time to do everything for him. You're saying
I
he's a
think, like-
real, legitimate person that has feelings and passion.
I would say, like, if he had that much power, I would just be more scared than anything. Let's just put it down to like non-supernatural powers, because if he had that much power, then we should start to be fearful.
That's awesome.
This is great. Anybody have any final thoughts? Alice, is there anything you want to talk about specifically, or?
Oh,
And you want to promote anything too?
You have a Patreon, right? This is how we get this cool art.
Yeah. I do have a Patreon. Probably patreon.com, NerfAlice, maybe. I'm
Slash
NerfAlice.
NerfAlice, yeah.
It'll be in the links. It'll be in the links on the YouTube
Yeah.
and on the
Sorry,
podcast
But
services.
did you have
but-
something you wanted to talk about, or Alice? No. Okay.
No.
I was just like, I thought you said you did, and I was like, oh, we're
Any
Oh.
plans for the rest of the day?
My cup
What'd
of
you have for
tea in bed.
breakfast?
Toasted tea cake. Quick fire.
What is this show? Every time I'm on this show, I have no idea what's going on, but it's always great. And it was a great time talking to you, Alice. Thank you for joining us.
Did you want to do some rapid fire questions?
I'm closing, but sure, yeah. You can interrupt my wrap up if you want.
We love
sure,
rapid
whatever.
fire questions here.
You started this a few weeks ago, but yeah, go for it.
Oh, you want me to do it?
I don't know what to ask. You're the one that does it.
All right, these are just off the top of your head. Favorite things that are just first thing that comes to your mind. Favorite movie.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 at the moment.
Favorite
Yes.
Pardon?
book. Favorite book.
Name of the Wind.
Nice. Favorite musical artist.
Pass.
Favorite TV show.
Classically, probably Doctor Who.
And favorite
Yeah.
snack.
Pardon?
Favorite snack.
Snack. Anything with chocolate in.
Wait, who's your favorite doctor? I gotta ask this.
Lieutenant.
David Tennant, hell yeah. Companion?
Rose.
Mm. All right, sure.
Favorite villain.
Favorite villain.
The Master. But
Oh, that's a classic, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, now I'm done.
Also, I did check, and it is patreon.com/NerfAlice.
Sweet.
So go
Thanks.
there and
Thanks,
support this
Al.
wonderful artist. My pleasure.
Sorry to ruin your wrap up, Caesar.
Wouldn't be the first time you ruined something, but one thing that
That's
wasn't
true, you're
ruined
not
was
wrong.
this.
Ooh.
I was in the wrap up again, Phil. I was in my role. What is this show? I'll tell you what the show is. It's ending. Thank you so much, Alice, for joining us. Where can people find you?
NerfAlice everywhere. TikTok. New TikTok, but yeah, sweet. I'm on the internet.
Everywhere, Nerf Alice. Thank you for joining us, and thank you all for joining us for this episode. My first time hosting. In case you couldn't tell, really don't know what I'm doing.
Kind of threw him into this one, so.
But yeah, thank you, Alice. And you,
Thank you.
Alice, is officially out of our league.
Yay!